Today I'm going to give you 10 affordable watches that watch snobs can't hate. Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. What is a watch snob? Well, a snob is someone that looks down on something if it's less expensive. Not only that though, a snob will believe their opinion to be the only opinion, the one that counts. First of all, horology. No, it is not someone that wears a cravat, owns 3 Patek Philippe's and thinks they're better than you. No, put simply, horology is the scientific measure of time. That's it. Whether it's a sundial, a sand timer, or a $10 Casio. It's the measurement of time, and that is it. Halt horology, now that's a different thing. Picture the scene. We're in the 1970s, and the quartz crisis have hit. Men, women, children screaming in the streets. It was absolute carnage. Carnage to the higher end brands, because people could now own a watch for not a lot of money that was far more accurate than a mechanical watch that was a lot of money. So the big high-end brands like the Audemars Piguet, the Patek Philippe's, the Vacheron Constantines, they were at a crossroads. Do we go the digital quartz route, or do we go another route?
They went the other route.
And that was to double down on their mechanical watches, making them even more refined, add more complications, improve the finishing, use precious metals, and so they weren't competing with quartz watches, they were competing with themselves and making their watches a bit more elitist. And this is where watch snobbery really begun. Now today I've got 10 watches I believe are watch snob proof, got a great cult following, fantastic value for money, and are just really good. Are you watch snob proof ready? Let's go. Okay, first up, you knew it was going to happen. I've got a beautiful Casio trio for you. First up, the F91W. This watch is £10 still. First made in 1989. This watch oozes the feel of the late 80s, early 90s, and has been worn by literally everyone. From your likes of your Barack Obamas to the cast of Stranger Things. This watch is still made and sold over 2 million times a year and only loses just over 30 seconds a month. That is high chronometer level when you're talking about mechanical movements. Next up is my favourite Casio of all, probably the best value cult icon you can buy right now, and that is the CA53W, the calculator watch. Yes, the watch that was worn by Marty McFly in Back to the Future 2. Again, only loses 30 seconds a month, and this watch is so retro, it's cool. We do have added complications. We've got a calculator. This watch has been going since the late 80s, early 90s as well. Still only around the £30 mark, which is fantastic. And if every watch enthusiast had 1 or 2 Casios, this should be one of them. The last one of the trio is the G-Shock Square, the DW5600. Born in the early 80s, it took 200 prototypes and 2 years to make this design. This is the one watch you should have in your arsenal because it'll get you through any situation in your life. Guaranteed. This watch is around £60–70. If you upgrade £30 to 100, you can get the solar powered version, which means you don't have to change a battery, so it's kind of like an automatic watch, isn't it, eh? But it also comes with an atomic clock, the GWM5610U. Try and have a go at that, watch snob. Hamilton is an amazing brand. They've aligned themselves as the perfect, affordable, mid-tier watch brand with so many likable designs. The majority of their watches have been inspired by their older models, which I absolutely love, particularly the military-inspired ones. It's amazing how timeless these watches are and would sit comfortably on your wrist throughout any decade. Pick of the bunches for me is the Khaki King. Beautiful stainless steel field watch. It's automatic, a lovely modified ETA movement. I have never experienced a bad Hamilton, and this one is just magnificent and a superb affordable alternative to the Rolex Explorer if that's what you're looking for. The other choice of mine probably has the best wind on a watch,
and I've wound a few.
The Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical, based on a watch from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, issued to the US military. This is a fabulous interpretation by Hamilton, particularly this reference with that brown dial. Try and have a go at those Hamiltons, watch snob.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
The next choice is quite broad, but it is any Seiko Prospex Diver. These watches are seriously in a class of their own. Inspired by the 60s and 70s designs from Seiko, again they have such a classic and timeless look to them, but a very Seiko look, you know what I mean? Seiko are a brand that has been going since the 1800s. They first came out with their divers in 1965, and Seiko have always been the brand that has been daring to be different but popular at the same time. If it's got Prospex on the dial, that means it's a professional tool, one that has been tested certifiably. Temperature testing, atmospheric pressure testing, shock testing. For all those that own a Prospex Seiko, I guarantee that after a punch and a scrap, your watch will last far longer than an Audemars Piguet Royal Oak, I tell you that. So watch snobs, don't know where to go? Go Seiko. Bulova. Love that word. Bulova.
Bulova, 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 Bulova.
We all know about the Omega Speedmaster, don't we? The brand sure does like telling us a lot, don't they? But did you know that there was another watch that landed on the moon? Now the story is very dodgy. Basically, one of the astronauts, right, had their Omega Speedmasters, right, yeah? Oh, and the Hesselite crystals popped off. What am I gonna do? I haven't got a watch now. Wait a minute. In my pocket, I've got a spare. It's a Bulova. 1, I didn't know they made astronaut suits with pockets. 2, what was he doing with a spare watch? And 3, this Bulova was a prototype. Wasn't for sale yet. So how did it get there? Let's not think about it too much. The fact is, it did get there. And that original sold for over £1 million in an auction. That got Bulova thinking, we should make some more. And the Bulova Lunar Pilot has been a cult classic ever since. Yes, it somewhat does resemble a Speedmaster, but back in those days, most watches looked like most other watches. But there you go, you can own a reissue of a watch that went to the moon that doesn't cost you thousands, and the snobs can't touch you. Super! Now in my head, if you own a Longines, you are snob proof. Why? First of all, let me give you some founding years, okay? First of all, Omega, founded in 1848. Patek Philippe, founded in 1839. Audemars Piguet, founded in 1851. Rolex, founded in 1908. Longines were founded in 1832. They've also got the oldest registered trademark logo ever from everything, therefore they're better, right? Not quite, but in the 1800s, Longines made a big name for themselves with their pocket watches. They made a name for themselves in sporting events as the preferred timing instrument for like horse jumping and horse racing. But when it comes to watches, they got an amazing history, especially when it comes to aviation. Amelia Earhart, Howard Hughes, all relied on their instruments and watches. But whenever you get a Longines watch, you are always taken back by how well it is made. The finishing, the polishing, the designs are absolutely fantastic. And just take this Heritage Spirit 37mm. It's probably the most expensive watch on our list today at around £2,000, but it is just as good a watch as any other luxury brand I've reviewed. But you can buy amazing watches like the Hydra Conquest. This is 39mm. It's just above the £1,000 mark. This watch is brilliant. Anyway, if you own a Longines, snob proof. Next one is of a watch I did a review on last. It's the Seagull 1963. Very affordable considering it houses a column wheel chronograph with a swan neck regulator. Yes, the Chinese government bought the rights to a Venus 175 movement, that's machinery, patents, you name it, in the 1950s because they wanted to make a pilot's watch for their military airmen. Now to get a Swiss watch with this type of movement in it, you were talking well over £2,000, £3,000, £4,000. This is a fantastic watch for anyone starting this hobby because it gets you mesmerized and transfixed into the world of mechanical movements. It's definitely a springboard for many watch enthusiasts out there. Currently got on the 60th anniversary one. I absolutely love this thing. 38mm, champagne dial, lovely jubbly. Okay, last watch on the list, and it's definitely one no other watch reviewer in the world is going to show you, but there is no way a watch snob can have a go at this one. Now, we all remember Knight Rider, yes?
Kit! They're still shooting at us! Thank you, Michael, but I noticed that myself.
Well, at the start of the year, I was very lucky to go to see a real-life one. A Pontiac Firebird with retro-futuristic computers and everything inside. It's a car I always wanted as a kid, but I didn't just want the car. I wanted Hasselhoff's watch too. Yes, the Kitcom, the watch Michael Knight used to communicate with Kit when he wasn't around. Now, back in the late 70s and 80s, transistor radio watches were a big thing. The makers of Knight Rider took one of these transistor watches, put a different face over top of it, and voila, it was the com between Michael Knight and Kit. And I've got one. Now, this is all thanks to Merchoid, basically a collectible company that makes amazing stuff, or sells it. It's a recreation of the watch Michael Knight had. It's just plastic resin. It's a basic rubber strap. Not a particularly great movement inside, but this is the watch that means so much more than the sum of its parts. I can talk to Kit. He's not actually responding at the minute. Bit ignorant really, but I'm sure he'll respond soon. But this little thing only cost me £27.
£27?
Now the battery may die in a year, the strap might snap in a year, and I'm definitely not going to take this out in the rain. But try and have a go at that, watch snobs. There you go, a list of snob-proof watches. And never be abused like I do sometimes in the comments below here. You know who you are. We can't forget the reverse snob, can we? Obviously there's someone with an expensive watch that looks down at someone with a less expensive watch. But there's also that person with the less expensive watch looks down on someone with a more expensive watch. There's snobbery everywhere. Like a good friend always used to say to me, if you haven't got something good to say, don't say it. We've all got opinions, and to be fair, they may border on snobbery, but we have respect for our fellow man and woman, don't we? Buy what you like and like what you love. That's what I say. If I've got you for a few more minutes as well, check this bad boy out. What a show. Fantastic! Snobs, any watch snobs around want to watch this as well? Come on, get the views up. I don't care who's watching. Go on, click it. Click it. Click it!